Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much the organizers to give me the time here, especially Professor Dr. Azim. Today my topic is lung cancer imaging. Right? Lung cancer imaging and what a surgeon expect to know. As we all know that for a surgeon or oncologist to plan for the further management of cancer of the lung, known cancer of the lung, so imaging play a vital role. So the ammunition of these imaging modalities starts from the chest X-ray, then the contrast enhanced CT scan, MRI, and then the PET scan. So what to see in these imagings? Primary characteristics we see of any lesion in the lung or in the cancer, that is the site where the lesion is located, then which lobe of the lung is involved, and the most important is the invasion, whether it is localized or it is invading into the surrounding structures. Then the important aspect is the nodal characteristics, which level of the nodes are involved, what are the number of the nodes, and secondly the malignant characteristics. If the nodes are involved, so whether they are malignant or they are benign characteristics. Then the staging that is based on the TNM classification, that is the primary tumor, regional lymph node, and M is whether there is distal metastasis or not. So what the radiation oncologist needs to know? Again, the size and location of the primary tumor, determination of tumor margins, detection and incorporation of nodal metastasis into radiation treatment are required for appropriate treatment. So these are the imaging play, again I would say imaging play a very important role for the oncologist or the surgeon decide what to do the next with these patients. And what the surgeon needs to know, which is the heading of my topic presentation today, which is the size, location and presence of loco-regional invasion to determine surgical resection plan. Degree of pleural, chest wall and mediastinal invasion along with involvement of central airway and pulmonary arteries. Involvement of a pulmonary artery may require a pneumonectomy rather than lobectomy. So this is very important to know the involvement of any of these vital structures by this primary lesion. Then comes the ipsilateral peribronchial hilar nodes are usually resectable. Ipsilateral, which is the N2 nodes, may be resectable after induction therapy. Induction therapy means the primary treatment, primary step which we take in our therapy plan. Then the distant metastasis usually precludes the surgical resection. If we find the distant metastasis especially in the CT, contrast enhanced CT or in the PET scan, so the surgeon or they decide that there is no further need for the surgical resection most of the time. So this is again the TNM classification based T1, tumor size T1, which is less than 3 centimeter, okay, and the T2 when the 3 to 7 centimeters. So these are the criteria on the basis of the size. Then T2, T2A, T2B, then atelectasis is a part of the lung, and T2 there is a part of the lung involved. And invasion, if there is invasion, there is a visceral pleura and main bronchus greater than 2 centimeters from the carina. So this is the distance from the carina we take, and T3, the tumor is greater than 7 centimeter, and there is atelectasis of the whole lung. T4, there is invasion and there is distant metastasis. Invasion जो है organ का, vertebral bodies का, carina, tumor, and different ipsilateral lobes. Lymph nodes again, NO, we take no lymph nodes involvement, N1 ipsilateral bronchopulmonary hilar nodes, N2 ipsilateral mediastinal, and N3 में contralateral hilar mediastinal node. Metastasis, no metastasis. M1 is the bilateral lesions, distant metastasis. So the imaging features of the T1, tumor less than 3 centimeter, not proximal or to lobar bronchus, surrounded by lung or visceral pleura. Similarly, the T2 tumor greater than 3 centimeter, marginal bronchus greater than 2 centimeter from carina, visceral pleural invasion, atelectasis, consolidation do not involve entire lung. T3, any size with involvement of chest wall, mediastinal pleura, parietal pericardium or diaphragm. Main bronchus involvement less than 2 centimeter from carina. Atelectasis or consolidation involves entire lung. And the T4, invasion of the mediastinum, heart, great vessels, trachea, esophagus, vertebral body and carina. And the satellite tumors, nodules involves other lobes as well. And the key points which we have to remember, same lobe but extra nodule. T3, same lung but extra nodule. T4, different lung but extra nodule. M1. This is again the schematic diagram. Description, nodal stations. Now the nodal stations, supraclavicular and upper paratracheal nodes, group of nodes, prevertebral and prevascular, lower paratracheal, subaortic and para-aortic, carinal, paraesophageal and hilar, supraclavicular zone and subcarinal zone, peripheral zone, which is the pulmonary node. Characteristics of node. We take the size and short axis, transverse diameter short axis, it has to be greater than 1 centimeter. Shape, benign nodes are elongated and fusiform in shape, whereas malignant nodes have more transverse diameter, more rounded in shape. And the cortical thickness of the uniform in the benign nodes, whereas it is increased in the malignant nodes. So malignant nodes, corona radiata sign, features of a malignant lesion with speculated at its margin. So malignant nodule have some features like it has the speculated margins as we can see in these images, and feature malignant lesion is at its margin. So the calcification pattern of solitary pulmonary nodule. So benign lesions, they have a calcification pattern as diffuse, either it is central, popcorn or laminated. Whereas the malignant lesions, they have the stippled and eccentric calcification as seen in this diagram. First is the diffuse, this is the central one, this is the popcorn shape, laminated, these are all the benign, and the stippled and the eccentric in the last two, these are the malignant features. Again, the malignant calcification is 7% on CT, histologically in 14%, usually eccentric, finely stippled. Pre-existing focus of calcium engulfed by tumor. Previously, if there is calcification, so tumor may engulf that and it lies within it appears within the tumor. Then there can be the dystrophic calcium within the tumor necrosis, calcium deposit from secretory function of carcinoma, that is the mucinous adenocarcinoma. So tumoral calcification, this is the large bronchogenic carcinoma invading the mediastinum, demonstrates coarse and cloud-like calcification. This is the whole calcification, cloud-like calcification. In case of alveolar carcinoma, bronchular or bronchoalveolar carcinoma, subtype of adenocarcinoma, peripheral from type 2 pneumocytes may be associated with diffuse pulmonary fibrosis and pulmonary scars. CT features include the ground glass opacification, small nodular opicities, frank consolidation, and thickened interlobular septa. So this is again the CT chest, which is showing the bronchoalveolar carcinoma surrounded by a large hollow of ground glass attenuation, subpleural, another, we can see another nodule in the subpleural region, which is shown over here. Which is again gone. Just adjacent to the pleura. So surrounded by large hollow of ground glass attenuation, subpleurally another small satellite nodule can be seen infiltrating into secondary pulmonary nodule. So this is this CT scan pattern shows large area of parenchymal consolidation with marked air bronchogram sign surrounded by a large halo of ground growth attenuation representing lipidic tumor growth, intertumoral bronchocele, multiple pseudocavitations and the acinar nodule seen. So these are the multiple features which is shown in this image. So there are different signs like CT angiogram sign. We can see that from we can see the vessels appearing prominent during a contrast enhanced CT as they traverse an airless low attenuation profile as we see in these images. Then the non-small cell carcinoma appears in different forms: adenocarcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, large cell carcinoma. So adenocarcinoma radiographic features, it is the peripheral location. Sometimes it is possible to distinguish radiographically between other histological lung cancer types. Squamous cell carcinoma appearance depends upon the location of the lesion when the right upper lobe is collapsed and a hilar mass is present, which is called which is seen as the golden S sign. Which you see in the next image, just like this is the golden S sign which you see in the X-ray. A more peripheral location may appear as rounded or spiculated margin. Cavitation may be seen as an air fluid level. Pleural effusion may be present. And metastatic lung disease, which is the feeding vessel signs, we see the small pulmonary arteries which is seen leading directly to a nodule. As you see in these images, I'm sorry, this is not working. So most common with metastasis, this can also, feeding vessel sign also be seen in the infarcts, arteriovenous fistula as well, and less common with primary benign lesions such as the gliomas. Teen-bud appearance is the post-radiation. Again, we can have the post-radiation pneumonitis, and this we have such a picture like branching opacities with the nodules in the periphery, in the distally periphery. And there is also post-radiation, we can have the ground glass appearance, multiple, these are the parenchymal opacities throughout the both lung as we see in this image. Radiation fibrosis, again the mediastinal fibrosis, this is also a sequelae of the radiation which we come across in most of the patients going through the radiation in the mediastinal region. Then comes the last is the PET scan. So why to perform the PET CT scan? So it's the more advantageous modality, morphological and functional characterization of pulmonary nodules and the masses to differentiate tumor from atelectasis. For TNM staging of the mediastinum, screening for metastasis and might not be detected with CT alone. So the lesions with metastasis which CT cannot delineate, so a PET scan is advised to detect the metastasis and for the radiotherapy planning. Thank you.